Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Sports with Sunshine. I know we're on to a different time tonight, guys, but I appreciate each and every one of you that come out tonight during the live or during the recap to cover some Eagles news. I want to give a big shout out to the Sports Lounge for powering Sports with Sunshine and making it exactly what it is, the mecca for Eagles news and NFL news on social media. And big shout out to our sponsors, the Mogul brand and the Diamond Collection, for making the Sports Lounge media what it is. And what is it, guys? It is the place to get all sports media information on the internet, whether it be the MLB, the NFL, the NHL, or the NBA. The Sports Lounge covers it. Tonight, I'm joined by an extremely special guest, guys. He is a premier Philadelphia Eagles coverage man and just a good overall guy. Chalk It Up Sports, my guy. Thank you so much for carving some time out of your evening to come on here and chop up the birds with me. Another Birds fan, guys, I know, but you already know how I'm rocking with it when it comes to them Birds. Chalk it up. Go ahead and let them know where they can find you and on all your different social platforms.
Yeah, for sure. So, the platform is Chalk It Up Sports. My name is Tone DeShields II. You guys can call me Tone. I'm totally cool with that. But yeah, the brand, the conglomerate, the channel, again, Chalk It Up Sports. You guys can literally find me on TikTok and Instagram, Chalk It Up _sports. You can find me on Twitter at DeShields, the last name. Again, on YouTube at Chalk It Up Sports, man. I appreciate you for allowing me to come on, Sunshine. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So tonight, guys, we're going to get into it a little bit with Philadelphia Eagles. As we know, guys, we are 12 to 13 days away from kickoff banner night against the Dallas Cowgirl. Boys, my fault. They'll be coming into Philadelphia trying to rain on our parade, guys. I am excited for it and for the new look Philadelphia Eagles. We know that not all seasons are created equal. So this Philadelphia Eagles team has underwent some change. And guys, thank you to the chat. Welcome in and let's get into it. First of all, Chalk, my man, the NFL, so the Eagles offense has underwent some change, not that much. A lot of people, coming in saying like, oh, the Eagles are going to have to repeat their success. They're going to have to throw the ball better, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about it a little bit. So a season ago, this was a top 5 rushing team in every single rushing statistical category. Other words, Saquon Barkley had a sensational year. There's just no way around it. The most rushing yards for a running back ever, in a single season, playoffs and regular season. So in all, the Eagles didn't really have to throw the football all that much a year ago. They were 32nd or 28th in the NFL in pass attempts. But when the Eagles did throw the football, they were pretty damn good at it, right? We look 7th in pass yards per attempt, 8th in completion percentage. What does that tell me? It means that Jalen Hurts performed at an elite level within the offense he was being asked to run. And I think a lot of people overlooked that. But now, the offensive line, we're bringing back pretty much everybody with the exception of Mekhi Becton. Tyler Steen will be stepping into that role of right guard. And it's arguable to say that a year ago, Tyler Steen had that right guard spot already locked up. But due to injury, it gave Mekhi Becton an opportunity to step in. And once he got the job, he never looked back. What are some things we can expect out of this Philadelphia Eagles squad moving into the new year of 2025?
Just starting from the offensive line perspective, right? You mentioned the Tyler Steen angle. I think Tyler Steen doesn't get enough credit for the development he's endured over the past few seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. Think about it like this, right? Like you said, he had that right guard spot locked up. He goes down with an injury. Mekhi Becton goes in, and it's kind of hard to turn away from what Mekhi Becton was able to bring on the interior. He was a unicorn at that size, being able to move like that at right guard. So when I think about it from the offensive line perspective, look, the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball on anybody. They're going to be able to move the ball on anybody. A lot of the time they get criticized for the lack of pass attempts or the lack of pass yards. Well, let's be honest about this. When you're winning, you pass less. It's a very simple concept to understand.
I thought so too, but
right.
Apparently it was this whole alien concept. And I've had people come on and tell me, well, all you got to do is stop the run and you can beat the Eagles. Interesting. We've seen the Steelers do that, right? We've seen Saquon have what we would consider a down game for him. What happens? Yeah. Jalen steps in, has an incredible completion percentage, goes for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Super Bowl, fast forward. Saquon had what we would consider a down game for him at 86 yards rushing in that game. What happens? Jalen Hurts steps in and does what he needs to do. So the whole narrative of, if you stop the run, you stop the Eagles, I think is a little bit worn out. I agree with you 100%. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be able to run the football on whoever they want. And that helps the Eagles in other areas.
Yeah. The teams, And good teams run the ball. You know, when you think about it from the perspective of rush attempts per game last year, right? The Philadelphia Eagles were first, Baltimore was second, Washington was third, Detroit fourth, Green Bay fifth, Pittsburgh sixth, Buffalo seventh. All 7 of those teams made the playoffs, and they were top 7 in rush attempts per game. When you think about the pass attempts per game, right? The Eagles were 32nd in the league in pass attempts, right? Baltimore 31st, Green Bay 30th, Pittsburgh 29th, Buffalo 28th, Chargers 27th. Those teams from 27 on down to 32, the bottom, what would you call it? The bottom 6 teams in pass attempts all made the playoffs. And when you look at the way the playoff numbers panned out for most of these elite passers, most of these guys, when they won the football game, they didn't throw for more than 200 passing yards.
Yep.
They ran more than they passed.
I couldn't agree more. And Jalen Hurts is getting criticized for games like Green Bay, where when people look at that game, they say, well, Jalen had a down game in that game. Where? Because I'm not seeing it. He took care of the football. He passed effectively within the offense, and we ran the ball with consistency. You fast forward to the Rams game, where I would arguably say that was Jalen Hurts' worst playoff performance out of the playoff stretch, right? Was that Rams game. And even then, he didn't necessarily commit a turnover. He had the sack that ended up being a safety, but outside of that, he was very effective. I mean, it was a freaking blizzard. People like to act like the Eagles were benefiting from the blizzard somehow. Both teams were having to play in the snow.
Sunshine.
I mean, last I checked.
It's so crazy that people say that, oh, if it wasn't for the snow, the Rams would have waxed the Eagles. They do realize we played them earlier in the season in Los Angeles on a beautiful fall winter night. In Los Angeles, no wind, no breeze, no nothing, and we spanked them.
If I recall, Saquon went for what, 250?
250. We ran for what, over 300 yards on them. It was something. It was something astronomical, right? So you want me to believe that the weather helped them? If you really want to look at that game, the division round, that is, the Eagles gave them opportunities to stay into the game. They gave
AJ Brown
dropped a touchdown. Devontae Smith dropped the pass, but he got cracked, so I can't get mad at him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We had about 2 interceptions that we dropped, one by Cooper DeJean and one by Isaiah Rodgers, I think, that he got mossed on. Right. So, there were so many opportunities that the Philadelphia Eagles laid out for the Rams. And don't get me wrong, the Rams did what they were supposed to do. They stayed in the game. Their defense made plays in the second half. Jalen Hurts gets hurt with a knee injury, so he can't really drop back the way he wants to in that weather. You know, he doesn't have too much. He doesn't have a stable ground to really stand on. So the game was messy. The game was 100%. Messy for any and everybody. But for Jalen Hurts in those conditions to protect the football, not turn the ball over, and let's give the man more credit. He started off that game pretty hot. I mean, he had a 40, 50-yard touchdown run to the house. Broke a tackle. I mean, looking like a miniature Cam Newton out there, just going from coast to coast. So people want to find angles on any angle they can to disrespect Jalen Hurts. They want to find any angle they can to say why he's the weak link to this team. And every time the game plan is, like you said, hey, you want to beat the Eagles? Force them to throw the ball. Hey, force them to play from behind.
And we're okay with that. And you know what I mean? We are okay with the ball being in our quarterback's hands. I'm glad you bring up, the point of it was a messy game for both sides, but our quarterback was the one that didn't commit turnovers.
Protected the ball.
I get Matthew Stafford had a lot of yards, and people love yards, right? And that's why everyone's so hung up on Lamar and all these other quarterbacks, because they love the 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. But all of a sudden, January rolls around and he gets that winter cold and he can't produce, during the playoff runs. So I think that, when we look at this offense, the Eagles offense, and first of all, I want to give a big shout out to everybody that either came from Tone's page or my own. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. If you're enjoying the content, like, share, and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell here and at the Sports Lounge so you don't miss a second of this action. I appreciate you guys so much. But Tone, you make an incredible point, and we look at this Philadelphia Eagles offense that's bringing back everyone. Literally everyone except for Mekhi Becton. Plus, you add John Mechie, who I think can be used situationally as a red zone threat. He does need to work on his ability to look the ball in and have it before he tries to turn up and go to the next level. But he's playing with arguably a top 5 receiver in AJ Brown. He's playing with a top 10 receiver in Devontae Smith. He's going to get those things cleaned up. And as we look, Terrence Marshall got cut today, as well as the other cat. What was his name?
Elijah Cooks.
Thank you. Elijah Cooks, which leaves Darius Cooper, John Mechie, Jahan Dotson. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
Real quick, Sunshine. I gotta ask you real quick. What's your thoughts on Darius Cooper? I'm in love with the kid personally.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Yeah.
Usually I don't get high on rookies. I like to keep rookies, on an even playing field. I want them to prove themselves.
Especially if they're undrafted.
Right. And he's from what, Tarleton State? The kid, you know what I mean? He's coming from somewhere out of left field, but I'm not gonna hold you, Chalk.
Something about him, right?
He's been very special, specifically at looking the ball in on contested catches. That's really just got me feeling some type of way. You know what I mean? It gives me flashes of the past in which, you get a guy that doesn't have a lot of expectation on him right now, which means he can come in, he can be a special teamer and a situational guy. I'm excited for Darius Cooper. Whether or not he contributes heavily to the passing game in this coming season, I think that we might have got us one there, a dog.
He's somebody, like you said, I don't expect him to make any real impact, but I think he should be somebody that they protect somehow, some way. Yeah. And you have Jahan Dotson, who's on an expiring deal. You didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so likely he walks after this season. You have John Mechie. Technically, he has 1 year left on his deal, but because he was a non-football injury participant in year 1 because of his cancer diagnosis, they technically still have his rights for 2 seasons. He'll be a restricted free agent in 2026. They just have to pretty much match. They just have an opportunity to match any offer he gets. Right now, because he hasn't really been able to produce like that, I doubt he gets a big offer, so that's leverage Eagles. So you arguably have John Mechie for 2 seasons. You got this young kid in Darius Cooper, who I expect them to bring to the 53-man roster. If you lose Jahan Dotson after this season, you may still have Mechie, and you can develop Darius Cooper to be a number 3 or number 4, depending on how good he looks. So, and again, I'm to your point, I'm just seeing his ability his release stood out to me as well. How he doesn't get too fancy at the line of scrimmage. A lot of these young wide receivers, they get too caught up dancing with their partner. Yeah. In reality, it's as simple as 1-2 go or 1 move, right? You watch some of the best, some of the most elite receivers, they get so much space with a simple 1 step.
AJ Brown is a great example.
AJ
Brown's a great, I'll say it's that one, that quick over the top, and he's gone. And now, granted, AJ Brown's got the size on him, and so Darius, and that's I think just makes it all the more impressive is that Darius Cooper's having to use his size to create separation, and I think that's such an underrated thing in receivers is creating separation, and then looking the ball in and then getting rack yards. So I think that I don't want to get too over the top about it.
I know it's hard. I'm trying not to get too high on this guy, but when I saw he has so much pop. He has pop.
Ed Reed was Reed Blankenship was an undrafted free agent as well.
Reed Blankenship.
Yeah. So I think that it's one of those things. I completely agree with what you're saying. Not a lot of expectation. He could come in. Maybe he's not a contributor, but I love the John Mechie pick. And a lot of Eagles fans were like, hey man, we don't need receiver. We need cornerback, and we'll get to that. But essentially you get John Mechie, who's played 4 games, something like that. He's very fresh. The kid's young. Yeah. He had to go through his leukemia, and God bless that, he came out of the other side healthy, and now he gets a real opportunity. He has chemistry with Devontae Smith. He never played with Jalen, but I'm sure that immediate connection will be apparent. I loved the Mechie pick just because I think it was Howie doing the intangibles. It's a lot like Howie bringing back Fred. Right? A lot of Eagles fans, what are we doing? Why would we even get rid of Fred in the first place? And don't get me wrong, I would have loved to just have Fred back. But not only do we get him more than likely cheaper now, but now we have a secure swing tackle, right? At a position of need. Because right now, Cam Williams isn't going to probably make this roster. He's very raw. Miles Hinton had a lot of, raw moments as well. I know a lot of people were high on Pryor, but I don't know that I trust him in the event that Jordan Mailata go down. You look at Big Fred, who's got experience in a Stoutland offense. Okay. He's got reps within those starting 5, which is so important with an offensive line, guys. A lot of people overlook the fact that continuity along the offensive line is very important. And Fred Johnson has played with these guys, right? I would trust him because he's already stepped in for Jordan a season ago, and he was very productive.
For 5 games.
Right. He blocked Trey Hendrickson, the reigning NFL sack leader. He was on an island with Buddy Boy all day long. And You know what I mean? We've seen how that game turned out. Then
Yep.
he replaces Lane for a little bit of time. I trust Fred Johnson as a swing tackle. And right now, Drew Kendall has been doing a lot of great things. I think that he's the solidified backup at center. And I do think that he's being cross-trained to play both the guard positions, which could be helpful down the road. We still have Keegan that I think can come in. I think offensive line-wise is probably where I'm the most comfortable on this team because we have the best offensive line coach in football, argue with your mama. I think
I'm more comfortable after the Fred Johnson trade for sure. Because the trade for Fred Johnson, I mean, it's a clear indicator that guys like you said, Miles Hinton and Karen Williams, they have tools you like, they have size you like, but they're very raw. They accumulated a lot of penalties in the preseason. Kendall Lamb, he's a veteran that you brought in to be a backup tackle, but clearly bringing back Fred, they feel like they felt they could do a little bit better than Kendall Lamb. It's funny. I don't know if I would consider this Howie making up for his mistakes, but when you position yourself like Howie Roseman has with the heavy draft capital over the next 2 seasons, you can afford to make decisions like this. You can afford to make a mistake and rectify it rather quickly because you have the assets, you have the capital to get it done. So, I mean, kudos to Howie Roseman. And honestly, you get out of probably overpaying Fred Johnson.
Right, and you get a higher draft pick. We got a 6th, and we gave up a 7th. So I mean,
exactly.
we get a 6th back. The only current trade that kind of looks like that, because I like to keep everybody within the organization accountable. I think a lot of Eagles fans pride themselves on that. The Kenyon Green, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. It's now apparent that was more a team chemistry, money saving move than it was anything else because
I to your point, I can't even, and I'm sorry to cut you off, I can't even call it a money saving move if I'm being honest, because his contract, when you look back on it, it was very doable, and his guarantees were very low,
right?
And I just look at that situation clear as the fact that they got Kenyon Green back for him in a draft pick, and they end up cutting Kenyon Green. Like you said, it was clearly a chemistry move. It was clearly a move that had nothing to do with the money, in my humble opinion. It was more so about whatever happened behind the scenes, whatever happened behind closed doors or off the field. They wanted no parts of it anymore. So I personally don't think it was money related at all. Again, if you look back at that contract, 3 years, very low guarantees, very, very low salary, very low base salary. I just think that they wanted to move on from CJ for whatever reason. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but
I'm a big CJ. I love the passion that CJ brought.
I'm a passionate guy, so I totally love a guy like CJ. But and I also felt like after the game he got ejected in 2024, I felt like he made a real turn from a leadership perspective and started to take his role way more serious as a leader. And he was playing lights out from that point forward in the season. But again, whatever happened behind the scenes, Howie Roseman clearly felt like the talent wasn't worth the squeeze. So it is what it is with a kind of guy like that. But again, you cut the guy you traded for. It does look funny in the light, but when you got a young guy like Andrew McCuba in the rafters, that's exciting. That's exciting.
And it's a great segue, right, for us to move into defense because, and I agree with you, I'm a big CJ guy. Love the passion he brought to the team. I thought he really matured as an athlete in Philadelphia as his time went along, but he has always been a hothead, right? He has always been one of them dudes that like to do that. But in his defense, Quinyon Mitchell's a lot like that on the field, right? Like, I mean, off the field, he's very quiet. On the field, he likes to do a lot of that. CJ likes to do a lot of that everywhere. Right. And,
right.
And I think him and Slay had their issues. It happened. It's a business at the end of the day. And Howie Roseman has to look out in the best interest of the business. But this is a great segue coming into the defense, right? A year ago, this Philadelphia Eagles defense was absolutely incredible after week 5. Because going into week 4, nobody was calling us elite. A lot of people had said the season was over. I got to witness the ass whooping in Tampa live. It was a lot of
one person called us elite, just one. CJ GJ.
You know who else? And I don't particularly like him, but I'm gonna give him credit. Skip Bayless stood in the paint from week 1 all the way to week 18. Now, don't get me wrong, he does it for clicks.
Of course.
He stood in the paint, and don't get me wrong, he's still a Cowboy lover, so I'm gonna let him enjoy his on that side. But when we look at this Eagles secondary, it was top 5 in every single passing category. They were incredible down the stretch. You're looking at Quinyon Mitchell. He grew up 15 minutes from my hometown. The kid's extremely humble.
Oh
And
yeah, wow.
to answer the chat, not saying he's a hothead. But Quinyon Mitchell, if you know anything about Quinyon Mitchell, he be doing this between the numbers, which you're supposed to do. I want that.
He definitely talks on the field for sure.
And I want that in my Eagles. I want that in my
He's
Eagles.
A corner. I need my corner to have some kind of swagger.
Yeah, I need him to be a little bit bitey. You feel me? Like, I don't want some dude out there that's like tapping dudes saying good game. Nah. But, Quinyon Mitchell, who I believe is primed to have a top 5 season. I think that Quinyon Mitchell can jump into that conversation with with an all-pro year. And you look at Cooper DeJean, who is being highly touted by AJ Brown. AJ Brown saying that he can be an all-pro type guy. He's calling him all-pro Coop, right? I think that those two guys are going to have much larger roles in this Eagles secondary. They're going to be put on more of a leadership standpoint. I also think that, Reed Blankenship is going to have to pick up his role as a leader in the secondary. And then you spoke on Andrew Makuba. Thought he had an incredible opportunity in that Cleveland game. He gets brought in. The dude absolutely balled out. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes he's a little bit late and he over pursues a bit. But when he was at the point of attack, he made a play on the ball, takes it to the crib. Absolutely incredible. Oh my goodness. He said, I do not have a soft spot for Dallas. Don't do that down south. Don't do that. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this Eagles secondary can be, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I do think that CB2 is an area of concern right now. What are your thoughts on the CB2 area?
You're right. CB2 should be an area of concern. And it looks even funnier in the light when you moved on from Isaiah Rodgers, when you had an opportunity to bring him back and you saw the deal he signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Again, it's, hindsight is 2020, but when you think about what they've gone through so far throughout training camp and preseason, trying to figure out that position, right? It's definitely something we're going to keep our eye on. And look, I understand what Javi Roseman's angle was, right? You drafted Kelee Ringo in 2023. You've been developing him. You want to give him a fair shot. He has tools and a physical profile and athleticism that you like at the position. He has the length you like at the position, the physicality you like at the position. But there's clearly something missing from his game. There's clearly something he just doesn't have. He's not attacking the ball. He's slow to react.
He played very soft in the Cincinnati game. I thought he gave Jamar way too much space, and I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Jamar was just doing whatever he wanted to him.
That's exactly what it was. Jamar was getting whatever he wanted, and there were moments. Even Vic Fangio mentioned how when Jamar had the comeback route and then he spun and took it to the house for like 30 yards or 40 yards. And I think it was an all-out blitz. Vic Fangio said, "Look, I didn't really expect him to prevent the catch. I expected the catch to happen. What I didn't expect was for him to miss that tackle, and that can't happen." So it just seems like week after week, Kelee Ringo has just been either plateauing or regressing. And for them to make the trade for Jacorian Bennett that early in training camp, I think it was the beginning of August, they made the trade for Jacorian Bennett. I think it was August 8th, something like that.
Correct.
They made the trade then, and from then on, they made it very clear. Actually, they made the trade before the first preseason game.
Yep, it was before the Bengals game.
Yeah, like at that point they clearly said to themselves, "We're not comfortable here right now." And
Ringo had all of camp. It's not like Ringo, and I mean, hell, he's been with the Eagles for 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's been in the system. I think that, and this is a good point here from Lord Vaughn. He says, and I want to know if you agree with this. We need one more corner and find someone from a good team before the final 15th man is released. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Vic Fangio is kind of comfortable with who's there right now. When I say comfortable, I think he sees Jacorian Bennett as a guy that can be molded into what he needs him to be. He's 24 years old. Yeah. He's got great ball skills whenever he's in the one-on-one. He's played in a zone system, which is very similar.
Jacorian has showed better film. He showed better. He's put better things on tape in a smaller amount of time than Adoree Jackson and Kelee Ringo, and they've been here longer.
See, I thought I was crazy. I was like, you know what?
It was obvious. It was so clear. I mean, in that Browns game, it was clear. Like the way he was able to stay in phase with that receiver and get that PBU. I mean, we haven't seen Kelee Ringo get a PBU all preseason. We haven't seen Adoree Jackson get a PBU all preseason. I mean,
and I looked at the numbers. Jamar Chase went, he went 4 for 4 on Kelee and 2 for 2 on Adoree. Catches and all that stuff. Then I looked at the Browns tape. Adoree allowed 2 targets and 2 receptions. Keely allowed 1 target, 1 reception. Jacorian Bennett was targeted 6 times. He allowed 2 receptions. So,
That tells you everything right there.
I'm about to say, right there, he's automatically already producing at a higher level. Now, are we going to experience hiccups? Yes, guys. There's no reason for us to come in here saying, you know what, we need to be the #1 defense right off the rip. That's not what happened last year. Last year, it took us 5 weeks to get into a place where we were like, okay, now we're comfortable and we can start making those, those strides. So I think that right now, CB2, obviously as Eagles fans, we hold this team to a high standard. So when we look at the team, we're like, you know what, CB2 does need to be addressed. I don't envision us attacking for another corner unless Howie already has Ringo in a trade package, because let's be honest, Ringo's seen no first team reps the whole last week of camp. He was practicing with the 3s, didn't get on the field at all versus the
Jets. He's definitely lost favor as CB2. Now, I still believe Ringo's value is on special teams, in particular as a gunner. I've heard a lot of Eagles fans argue that Ringo should be cut or the Eagles should find a way to move on from him. And my whole perspective is, okay, we understand he's not CB2 material. I was on a mountain screaming that he could be CB2 material for the main reason that if the Eagles found a way to get Keely Ringo to the place he needed to be, you would have 3 starting corners all on rookie deals, cost control for the next 2 years minimum. I felt like that was the optimum goal. Hence why they moved on from Slay. Hence why they moved on from Isaiah Rodgers. They felt like if they got Ringo to exactly where he needed to be, you got Quinyon, Coop, and Ringo playing at starting levels, all on rookie deals. That bodes well for your defense financially. That bodes well for future contracts from a Jalen Carter.
You essentially have that secondary for the next 3-4 years.
Exactly, at minimum, right? On rookie deals at least. But then obviously Ringo didn't pan out to that regard. And I think he still has special teams value. People don't. I tell Eagles fans, don't get cute. Special teams, we saw what it looked like in Super Bowl 57 when our punt crew allowed Kadarius Toney to take it to our 5-yard line or our 10-yard line, whatever it was, right? In the 2024 season, we didn't have a single concern on special teams. As a matter of fact, our special teams was forcing turnovers.
I was going to say, if you recall the Washington Commanders game, we forced 3 turnovers on special teams that allowed us to run away with that football game. So or it was 2 or 3. I don't remember. But I know
we forced a turnover right before halftime in the NFC Championship. We forced a turnover on the opening kickoff against Green Bay. We forced a turnover on our first punt return against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sidney Brown popped it out, and the Keely Ringo recovered it, setting up the Jalen Hurts touchdown pass, I believe, to Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, like special teams played a phenomenal role in the Eagles maintaining control of field position last season.
We did an incredible job of being efficient in all 4 phases of, you know what I mean? All 3 phases.
I agree 100%. So, you got to give Keely Ringo some kind of value in that regard. But Jacorian Bennett, I don't expect this defense to be where they need to be by week 1. We need this defense to continue to percolate and get better as the season goes.
I would rather
judge them in week 8.
I would rather peak later on down the road than in week 1 versus a Dallas Cowboys squad that's probably not going to be very good this year. So I think that, and a great question, from the chat asking about, Eli Ricks, because he was cut as well. I think that we're going to bring Eli back on practice squad. I think I would be very surprised if he was not back on practice squad. But guys, it all matters on whether or not he clears waivers in the next 24 hours, because there are other teams that need corner help. I don't know that he clears waivers with all of the. I mean, because you got to think everybody's trying to get down to their 53 man. I don't know that Ricks fits anywhere right now, other than Philadelphia's practice squad. I would lean towards us bringing him back on the practice squad. And I mean, moving from the secondary to the linebacking core, it's the first time in a long time that us as Eagles fans can say we have an elite linebacking core. Like we have Zach Bond first team. Jihad's going to play in place until Nakobe gets back. Trotter has shown some really great things. I kind of feel for him because Jihad has been so good in the preseason that it almost.
Trotter's been fantastic too, but
he has.
The upside with Campbell is just higher. It's just higher. Like
because he can bounce down to edge and be an elite at eventually. So right now, man, Jihad is going to be one of those guys, and Quinyon and Cooper were both these kind of guys where people are going to look back and say, how the hell did Howie Roseman get him at 32? How did he get him there?
I have a bold prediction. I have 2 bold predictions actually that I've been speaking up all off season. One of them being Jihad Campbell wins Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And My second bold prediction was I think Quinyon Mitchell makes All-Pro.
I have him being an All-Pro.
Either second team or first team doesn't make a difference, but I think he makes All-Pro this year. I think Cooper DeJean and I'll give you a third one, just because I like you, Sunshine.
All right, hit me with it.
Cooper DeJean makes the Pro Bowl this year.
Ooh, All-Pro Coop. I like the ring to it. Now, see, the only unfortunate thing is I don't know that they can both be all pros because Patrick.
No, not All-Pro, Pro Bowl. So I think Coop makes All. I think Coop makes Pro Bowl. I think Quinyon makes All-Pro.
I can rock with that. Especially because I think Quinyon's going to be targeted more than Cooper is, right? Because now Quinyon is being trained to follow receivers, which is not something that is super normal in Vic Fangio defenses. If you look over the course of Vic Fangio's history as a defensive coordinator, very zone-based, doesn't really have corners following guys. So it kind of speaks volumes in his trust in Quinyon Mitchell. So there's an opportunity for Quinyon to follow CeeDee Lamb, to follow Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, to follow, DJ Moore, all these different receivers, because the Philadelphia Eagles are going to see some receiver talent. You look over at
those first 4 weeks, you're going to see CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens,
you're
going to see Worthy and Rashee Rice.
Yep.
You're going to see Puka and Devontae Adams. You're going to see Cortland Sutton.
Yep. Mike Williams and Emeka Buka.
Yeah. Like I can't sit here and look at CB2 in particular and be completely relaxed, right? But the way Fangio plays defense, and he's a smart guy, right? Yeah. I fully expect Vic Fangio to have that defense set up in a way where they're not able to be exposed in that regard. And I think, again, you don't need Jacorian Bennett to play at a Pro Bowl level. You would like that, obviously.
You just need him to do what Isaiah Rodgers did for us a year ago.
Exactly. You need him to do what Isaiah Rodgers did. You need him to be serviceable. You need him to be somebody that can't get picked on. That's all you need.
I won't hold you, Tone. That I got an opportunity to interview Isaiah, and of everyone we let go, that's the one that stings me right now. Because if he was in Philadelphia, he would be CB2.
Did it sting you then, or does it sting you more now?
It stings me more now. Even then, though, like when I talked to him, like I was like, oh yeah, like you guys are gonna get the report soon, blah blah blah, and like I could see it. Like I didn't know because I'm not Nostradamus, but like he was like really not wanting to talk about it, and we talked a good little bit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, he out of there. I said, yeah, how is it? And then like literally 24 hours later, popped up on my phone, Minnesota Vikings. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because he didn't really get. Let me see how much he got from the Vikings. Let me just double check this real quick. He signed a 2-year deal, right? He signed a 2-year deal with the Vikings worth $11 million. They gave him $7.9 million guaranteed. He has an average salary of $5.5 million. So basically, they gave him $8 million. He has to earn the remaining $3 million. And
I feel like we could have paid that. I don't know though. Howie. I can't question Howie. Howie been running that joint like he's supposed to for the past few years. I can't. It's hard for me to like jump on him and be like, man, like you should have done this.
Because I know what the intention was. The intention was you gotta, because this defense is still the youngest defense in football. They were the youngest defense last year, damn near. So now they're officially the youngest defense in football, one of the cheapest, and have the potential to be one of the best. And I mean, again, when I think about it from this perspective, you want to develop talent, but also you got some young talent coming up to get paid, and they're going to get paid top of the line, a la Jalen Carter. He's going to become the highest paid D tackle for at least maybe a week or two. Who knows?
Down south in Scale says it stung me then. Hey, listen, guys, I'm a big Isaiah guy. I thought he could come in and be.
He came in some pretty good spurts for Slay, right? One of my favorite moments from him is when he came in, swatted that ball from Jamar Chase, and CJ picked it off in that Bengals game. That was a beautiful play. But again, like
in the Rams game, he had a one-on-one in the scene where he jumped up and made a play on the ball. He didn't. I don't think he ended up intercepting it, but he made a play on it. And man, I just feel like he definitely would have been a guy. And that kind of segues into the last line of this Eagles defense, the defensive line, a lot. And I got told today, right, that the Eagles have no D tackle depth. And I was like,
who are you talking to?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what roster are you looking at, brother? Like, you've got Gabe Hall, who's serviceable. He's not going to be a starting rotational guy, but okay. Wow. Ty Robinson, who's an incredible penetrator. He does need to work on his pass rush lane integrity.
He's a rookie.
So we're gonna chop him up to rookie. You got arguably one of the best interior defensive tackles in Jalen Carter. Jordan Davis came in looking like a freaking edge. right, at camp.
Bro,
So he's primed for a
you can
payday
see his
here.
jawline. Now, he looks. I think Jordan
Like
Davis is going to
like
have
a
a
weapon.
yeah. Like Jordan Davis looks like a man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I can't find me another defensive tackle room that starts with that has a Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo combo. Let's just stay there. Let's just stay there. Those three guys.
And
Name me a D
Moro,
tackle room that has those three guys.
Moro went 4 weeks. Mojo went 4 weeks. He had a sack in every single team period. Guys, that's against Landon Dickerson. That's against Jordan Mailata. That's against Tyler Steen, Cam Jurgens. He's going against the best offensive line in football at practice. Also, to everybody that's coming over from Tone's chat, I appreciate you guys. This is Sports with Sunshine, powered by the Sports Lounge Media. You guys do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. That's the blonde guy. I get it. I'm a new face, but it's always Go Birds. Don't get it twisted.
For sure. Shout out to Sunshine, man. Shout out to Sunshine, man. He reached out to me on TikTok. And man, so far I'm having a lot of fun, man. I'm grateful for him reaching out, you guys. So make sure you guys definitely lock in Sports with Sunshine. Make sure you guys go hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys smash the like button on my end as well. You guys are truly phenomenal. So again, I can't find another defensive tackle room that has a Jalen Carter, has a Jordan Davis, has a Moro Ojomo, who I believe has a real chance to be even better than Milton Williams. Then you go Gabe Hall, Byron Young, guys that you are developing. Byron Young, a guy you traded for with the Raiders last offseason. The Eagles didn't let him hit the practice squad because they believe he has some untapped talent, so they kept him on the roster. Right. So he technically has a Super Bowl ring, right? But Byron Young, Gabe Hall, they traded Thomas. They traded Thomas Booker IV because they were so comfortable with Byron Young, Gabe Hall, and Ty Robinson.
Exactly, and we would not have let Tom. And I'm so grateful for Thomas Booker. A lot of Eagles fans.
I love Thomas Booker IV. He did for Philly, my guy this year.
Yeah, he was going to be. I think my guy down south had him as a breakout guy as well. He was an unfortunate guy. I wish him nothing but success with the Raiders. That D tackle room is just so deep. It like blew my mind when I see it was in a TikTok live. Ty Baby said she was in my TikTok live. I have them all the time to garner, people for the YouTube. I'm just now getting started on YouTube this season, guys. I appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out. But when he said that, I was like, man, what are you watching? This is a deep tackle room. Then you move out to edge, right? Where Ojulari and Unche have been a little underwhelming. I expected a little more out of Ojulari. I think he needs a little bit more time to come along. Unche has been as advertised. I think that Jalen Hunt is primed to be a guy, right?
I think Jalen is going to have a phenomenal season. I mean, for them to be so comfortable, and Nolan Smith, for them to be so comfortable with Jalen Hunt becoming that guy, he didn't play a single preseason snap. That just speaks to their level of comfort and where he's gone.
Didn't even need to shake the rust off.
Yeah, and Jalix is being he got cross trained on both the left and right side because I think Nolan was dealing with I think concussion or something like that. So he had opportunities to rush on both sides. I think Nolan and Jalix are going to have phenomenal seasons. Nolan, I think, is going to have. Nolan has been low key having a phenomenal training camp and coverage.
Really? Yeah. So they've been bouncing him.
Yeah, Nolan has 2 interceptions right now through training camp.
Nice.
So I think Nolan is going to be way more of a weapon in the Fangio style defense. That ability to go forward and drop back in coverage. I mean,
and it just helps right now with not having Nakobe Dean on the field. Obviously, we got lucky and we got a mutant in Jahad Campbell. But I think that I agree with you. I think that Nolan is going to take that next step. Maybe he can get second team All Pro Pro Bowl honors. I'm really excited for Jalen Hunt. Love how violent he is with his hands. He's got a wicked inside step. It's really fun that the defensive line is this good because I think with how the secondary currently is, they're going to have to be. They're going to have to be a little better than they were a year ago at getting after the quarterback to buy that secondary time. So that moves us to our last question for the night is, are the pieces there? The Philadelphia Eagles were the last team in the NFC East to go back-to-back. In fact, they went 4 in a row from 2001 to 2004. That was the last time there was a back-to-back NFC winner. I do have them going back-to-back in my predictions. I don't think we lost enough on offense to be worse. In fact, I think we're going to be better. Defensively, while I am concerned with the quarterback room, I trust Vic Fangio to have these guys ready to play down the road. Do we maybe start off a little rocky and then fix it as we go? I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Like you said, week 8, somewhere around down there, all of a sudden we hit our stride and we're rocking and rolling. So my question to you is, are the pieces there? Obviously, it's a little early to be saying, back-to-back Super Bowls. The Chiefs have made it look really easy. We both understand that it's extremely difficult to go back-to-back in the Super Bowl. So I think this Eagles team is one of the teams in the NFL that are built to do it, with teams like Baltimore, Buffalo, those kind of teams. I think the Eagles are a team that is built to go back-to-back, but obviously we'll focus on the division first. I have the Eagles repeating as NFC East champions.
Yeah, I agree with you 150% on that. I just don't think I just don't believe the rest of the division has done enough to close the gap. I know the Commanders finally signed Terry McLaurin today to a deal that he rightfully deserved.
3 years, $96 million.
Yeah. So far, we know what the signing bonus was. That was $30 million. We don't know what the total guarantees are just yet, but they finally signed him. The Cowboys are still at a stalemate with Micah Parsons, and we're a week away from kickoff. Essentially,
and it's not looking promising.
The Giants, I think their defense is going to take another step forward.
Agreed.
I'm still not convinced of them at the quarterback position quite yet. I know they have Malik Neighbors there, but I don't think they have a strong enough offensive line yet. I just think the rest of the division still has too many holes.
For me, it's the OL as well.
Yeah, I just think the rest of the division hasn't done enough. Washington obviously got the quarterback right, but they're one of the oldest teams in football. I don't know.
What my question for Washington fans is, what have they done to fix the run game or the run defense? And are they going to have a consistent run game? Because
I agree 100%.
Contrary to popular belief, the Commanders want to be a run-first team. They just couldn't because they weren't consistent enough last year to do it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I just don't think the rest of the division has done enough. I think they're playing. I think they're playing a dangerous game with some of the decisions they make with the front office in terms of just waiting too long to pay guys they know they're going to pay already. Maybe we're spoiled from the way Howie Roseman does business. Howie Roseman knows very early if I'm going to pay a guy, and he's not going to waste any time. He's not going to let the market dictate what he pays the guy. He's going to pay the guy early and get ahead of it.
Right. Otherwise, you're in this Terry McLaurin situation where you're paying him what now it looks like A.J. Brown's playing on a Make-A-Wish deal. Or you look at, the Trey Hendrickson saga in Cincinnati that just got, dealt up today. And then Micah Parsons is going to demand a price tag. Like it's going to happen.
For sure. Micah's going to demand, he's demanding $40+ million a year. The Bengals are lucky Trey ultimately settled for a $14 million raise. He's going to be making.
He's out of there. He's out of there.
He's going to make $30 million a year. He's still dangerously underpaid. But I'm willing to argue Cincinnati won the stalemate because they're still underpaying him. They have him secure for this year. He'll be 31 when this contract ends.
His value is only going down unless he goes back to back as a sack leader for a.
He would have to have another 15. He would have to have a year similar to the one he just came off of for a team to even want to commit $40+ million to him. Because again, I understand why he believes he deserves that because the production is there. You think about guys like Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, T.J. Watt, who just got paid. You think about Nick Bosa. He's as productive as those guys. Now, granted, some of those guys are younger than him. But Myles Garrett, I think he's 29 going on 30 or something like that. So, if you're Trey Hendrickson, you look at Myles Garrett and say, hey, well, he's 30, I'm 30. Why can't I get my money? But look, man, I think Trey Hendrickson, he ultimately settled. And the Bengals, they got him for a cheaper number than they were going to give him. They clearly don't feel comfortable giving him $40+ million, especially knowing that he did all that on that defense. Their defense was still bad, and he still did what he did. So so their logic is, why would I pay you? We were bad with you. So I understand their logic, but I just hate how they do business, especially with the wide receiver position. Like
I'll be honest with you too. That starting defense showed no promise of being better than they were a year ago in this.
Yeah, all their money's tied up in Burrow, Higgins, and Chase, and they could have got those guys for way less money if they just got ahead of it. You knew you were going to pay them. You know you're going to pay them. So why even play the mind game? So I think the Eagles.
What happens if Chase Brown has a pop off year? Now all of a sudden he wants to get paid.
Right. offensive linemen. It's
right. Yeah, and I think I do think the Bengals are going to be an incredible offense next season. They were this season.
They were last year.
But you can't win games 40-43, 50-50. It's just not sustainable. We looked at it. Like both of their games versus the Ravens were 40+ ball games, and they lost. Did they lose both? Yeah, they lost both of them.
I think at some point, your defense is going to have a day where they show up for your offense when your offense struggles a bit. Like the way they're built, their offense can take a series off. Right? So again, that brings you full circle to the Eagles. I think the Eagles are fully equipped to not only repeat as divisional winners, but repeat as conference winners. You know, Super Bowl, that's a different conversation because you know it's all about matchups and so on and so forth.
Injuries,
you know, unless the Eagles have a crazy injury, they're repeating the division. They're going to win the conference. I think Detroit fans and the people who like Detroit are underestimating the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
And they're saying, their whole offensive line's shaking up too. I know they moved that one guy inside, but I think they vastly underestimate the power of continuity. I think that, you know, the Rams right now, we don't know how healthy Matthew Stafford is.
I'm so glad you said that because
reports are that he's taking epidural shots just to be at practice.
Listen, bold prediction again. He doesn't finish the season.
I think you would be right. Like if you're having to do that to get up to go to training camp, what happens when you get slammed to the ground by Jalen Carter? What happens when you get slammed to the ground by Bosa? You know, like I just it's right now, and I love Matthew Stafford, but like
I love him too. I think he's a phenomenal talent.
Call a spade. He has a disrupted something in his back. I seen the injury report, and he just came back to practice, and training camp ended like 3 days ago. So I don't know that he's going to be up on the wire. I think Washington fans are still riding their high right now. They'll get brought down back to earth once they realize their defense still.
They got to remember they won like a fluky overtime game. Like their wild card win came on a double doink field goal. I mean, like Washington, they didn't really have a dominant season. They made some crucial plays and crucial moments, which brought their record to what it was.
Right. They won a lot of one-score games, a lot of, last year.
And they overinflated in that win against Detroit in the divisional round, overinflated their ego. Overinflated what they thought they could do with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Keep in mind, they beat a Detroit team that had practice squad players starting in the secondary in a divisional matchup.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that, like, I mean, you got to play with who you have. I'm not discrediting.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, even though they were doing that against them, had the Lions continued to feed Jahmyr Gibbs in that game,
I think they win that game. If they
got getting whatever he wanted on the ground.
They got cute. Listen, they started to panic. That's what I think. I think
when
Ben Johnson got started
did
panicking.
The reverse to Jamo Wilson or Williamson, and it ended up in a pick. I was like,
I saw that,
bro, they just trying shit right now.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, they're nervous. And I mean, Jared Goff got hurt. He got rocked in that game.
Yeah, he did have
to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. Like, see here, and this is why I love Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts,
the choir, bro. Like,
he doesn't turn the ball over. He's efficient. One of the most efficient quarterbacks in football.
He just cares about winning.
They say Jalen Hurts
and he doesn't care what you think it should look like.
Exactly. They say he holds back the passing game, right? But for some reason, I keep seeing highlights of Jalen Hurts throwing these crazy bombs on 4th down, 3rd and long. Right. How can you say they don't trust him to throw it when they put him in these situations to throw the ball? In that Super Bowl, let's not act like the running game was winning first down. The Eagles were constantly in the 2nd and long, 3rd and long, 4th and 3. So they were constantly playing. I'll put it this way: the Chiefs had us where they wanted us.
Our average to go on second was 2nd and 8.
They had us where they wanted us, and Jalen Hurts said, "Hey, I got us. Hey, we're gonna finish this one. Don't worry about it."
Favorite thing I seen was him walking by the TV, and he went, "All right."
Yo,
I was like, oh,
that's a cold brother, Sunshine. That's a cold brother. I'm telling you right now.
I'm talking about something. Are you sure? Are you sure we're done? It's like Jalen want to put he want to finish the curb stomp.
I'm not mad at him
goodness.
though.
I completely agree, and that's why Jalen being our quarterback, I'll always be okay with. You know, a lot of people more than okay with, because my barber, big Eagles fan, he told me, I remember I went in September of last year. I was getting, you know, cut up, done. I need to go back. My hair getting long, but he was like, oh, you know, we'll never win a Super Bowl with Jalen. He doesn't throw for enough yards, blah, blah, blah. So I'll tell you what, bro, if we do, you got to give me free haircuts for 2 months. If we end up winning one, we won one, he quit.
No.
Oh my God, on my mama, he was gone. I came back because I have my guy that's in there, and he agreed to it. Like, because the guy that cuts my hair isn't the Eagles fan. There's another guy in there that's the Eagles fan.
Okay, got it.
And they agreed to it. I was like, hey man, if we win, you got to give me free haircuts. But brother, I came in. I said, hey bro, where's Buddy? They said, oh yeah, he quit like 2 weeks ago. I said,
damn.
All right, that's all right.
But listen, that's a microcosm of the people we constantly come across when they doubt Jalen Hurts. They throw stones and hide their hand. It's okay though, Sunshine. It's all good. Somebody gonna cut your hair. Don't worry about it. Somebody gonna cut it.
Hey, listen, I got Buddy on the line. I'm going on Thursday because this right here, I got to get back with my guy. I haven't seen him. He's a Patriots fan, so he's a really happy right now, and I got to bring him back down to earth. Guys, I want to give a big shout out to my man Tone for carving time out of his busy schedule.
Sure.
We ran a little bit over, so I apologize, but thank you so
you
much.
All good, my guy. We had fun. I had fun, man. This is all good.
Man. I'm really looking forward to the next one. You're obviously welcome anytime, guys. Who came from his chat, thank you guys so much for coming over and hanging out and talking Birds ball. If you guys can, like, share, subscribe to Sports with Sunshine and the Sports Lounge Media, guys. The premier spot for Eagles news as well as NFL news, and the Sports Lounge, the premier media outlet for the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and the MLB. If it's a sport, the Sports Lounge covers it. I want to say a big shout out to everybody that came out tonight, guys. I will be back on Friday with my man DP. We will be breaking down the Eagles and the Cowboys a week out, because obviously we won't be able to do it next Friday because, hey, we got a damn ball game next Thursday.
Yes,
we got a ball game next Thursday. But Tone, I appreciate you, man. I'm really looking forward to the next one. And guys, until next time, it's always go Birds.